My memo tonight is about emergencies and how we deal with them. I start with one name, Vincent Musila, a man who until a few days ago was a relatively unknown fisherman in Old Donyo Sabuk, Machakos County. But all that changed when a video was shared on various platforms of Musila marooned on an islet at the 14 Falls. Musila says he was busy fishing when he suddenly heard the sounds of rushing waters from upstream. In no time, the river was swollen and began bursting its banks, thanks to the heavy rain in Kajiado, Ngong and Nairobi. Musila was stuck for 3 days without food or water and was finally airlifted to safety by a police chopper. He was very lucky. But not so for the over 140 people who have lost their lives in the past 2 weeks from floods caused by heavy rains being experienced across the country. Thousands of other people have lost their homes and property due to the floods, a weather phenomenon that the meteorological department had warned us about weeks ago. But it seems as usual, the rains being experienced are coming as a shock to many, especially those in authority, who are expected to receive the information from the weatherman and plan accordingly. It is true that the current rains are heavier than most people expected, but is there anything to show that we were at least preparing for the wet season? Don't we know the hotspots for landslides and flooding, for instance? Were there plans to move people away from harm's way? What is even more disturbing is that a few months ago, the country was ravaged by a biting drought that brought with it famine in many parts of the country. What would happen, God forbid, were we to experience such phenomena as hurricanes or wildfires? Tutamkimbilia nani? Don't get me wrong, we have to applaud our police officers for trying their best to rescue those marooned in villages across the country. But just how many people can be airlifted by choppers? How many others are out there without any knowledge of this police program and without anyone to call the police when the floods strike? A well-functioning emergency response is part of a modern state. It is tied to the value a society attaches to life. It is about caring enough to plan ahead. For instance, if you were to start with basics, how many people know our emergency numbers in this country? And do they actually work? If so, are they promptly picked when someone makes that distress call? I could be wrong, but many Kenyans are often left to fend for themselves, and the few who can afford it depend on private response in the form of ambulances and other measures. What about personnel and equipment? We have witnessed buildings collapse, fires break out, and the situation is always the same. Something or someone always comes in with too little, too late. It is no time to apportion blame, as many Kenyans are still out there crying for a helping hand. But as a country, the unfolding crisis should jolt us back to reality. We must now dedicate ourselves afresh to the true value of humanity, to equip our National Emergency Response Department, complete with trained personnel, able to respond quickly and swiftly to emergencies. Otherwise, the same circle we see year in, year out of people dying from floods, drought and fires will continue. And so will the shame of watching our fellow citizens needlessly lose life and property in preventable disasters. And that's my memo.